Go ahead. So I'm just gonna reread the comment or reread the post. This is a change post. The first post, I'm really radical. I have a lot of radical thoughts, and I'm reactionary. So the first post, I actually said I think we should go out and harm other people, like physically harm. But I had one of my brothers. He called me. He was like, "Nah, take that down."
That could be a little incriminating. Like after coming out of law school, I'm like, yeah, I'd probably take that. I take that down.
He said, "Take that down." I was like, "You're right. You're right." You know. But I got a lot of passion. But I said I encourage my people to disrupt Russian businesses until my sister is brought home. DM me for a list of Russian-owned businesses in Nebraska. Hashtag Brittany Griner. I'm gonna let you explain your point. I could read
Okay.
this whole thing, but I want to let you explain your agreement or disagreement with that statement.
Okay, so I would say I completely recognize the sentiment. I understand that people can, they say, like vote with your pocketbook, or like make a financial statement, and that's where you hit people where it hurts. But I think that there is a time and place for everything, and there's a time and place for doing something like this. I think in like an international sense, if you're just going after those, like, okay, so if we, the first thing we have to think about is we live in Nebraska. It is not very diverse in the grand scheme of things. The immigrant population in the grand scheme of things ain't that high. Like we're in the middle of the country. It's not, if we lived in New York City, maybe like Los Angeles, or maybe even like somewhere in Texas or like Florida or something like that, I think I'd be a little bit more apt to agree. But if you take the sheer number of immigrants here and you reduce that down to Russian immigrants, and then you reduce it down to Russian immigrants who own a business, I feel like it's kind of just like a blip on the US radar. And I don't even think that the Russian government would be paying that any mind. I should have actually looked at like numbers of Russian immigrants to try to make a better idea. Like, I know it's not a lot. I've lived in Nebraska my whole life, and I can't tell you that I've ran across many Russian immigrants. Definitely not enough to have a strong enough presence to make like a global hegemon like Russia um, pay mind to their businesses being disrupted. I like I was saying, like I think that if you really want to enact like financial punishment to people, instead of like, oh, we're not going to patronize, at the very least, instead of like maybe not actively boycotting, but we just choose to take our dollars elsewhere. Russian businesses, I don't think that that effect would be on a scale great enough to, one, make it outside of the make it like to like the national level of the United States. This would have to be something that was nationally recognized for Russia to even get wind of it. Um, so it has to hit the national level in the US, right? And then after that, it has to be so big outside of the national level that it reaches the international scale to Russia. And I don't think that like Russian immigrant businesses are really, you know, going to be like a big enough shockwave to enact any change. Um, I don't like to tell people that their ideas are wrong without offering a suggestion. That's just me. I don't just say, "Oh, you're wrong," and just not say anything. It's okay. If I have like what I think is probably a better idea, I'm gonna tell you about it. Um,
Okay.
so what I was thinking was like, if you really want to enact like financial punishment of Russia, you think it would sort of like spur them to release Brittany Griner. I think it would have to be something closer to like some type of like corporate like conglomerate, not the mom and pop businesses, but somehow if I don't know if like it would definitely be something outside of Nebraska. Have to be more like on a national scale. If the U.S. were to impose some type of like sanction on Russia, to hit them where it really hurts, to hit them with like things like oil or like different type of like exports and that on that global scale, I think you might have a different outcome. But mom and pop businesses, I'm not sure I think that the I don't know what word I use in the comment. I thought also the ire is misdirected. Like
Mm.
I understand, but I don't think that you should hold mom and pop businesses accountable for something that they don't really have any, you know, I mean, I want to say connection to, because like if that is their home country, or that is like their country of like heritage, then of course you have like a connection to it. But I think that a lot of people, just from the immigrants that I've met in my experience, they come here for a better life. I'm not going to say they like denounce their home country, but a lot of them think of themselves as American. So it's kind of just like, what's that got to do with me? Basically, what's that got to do with them? I moved here. Like, yeah, I may be from Russia, but like they don't really have any, you know, um, clout in Russia to be able to tell them like if it was Vladimir Putin's like son's business or whatever, oh god, yeah, of course boycott them. Or some like big like Russian um like politician. Oh, okay, yeah, fine, boycott them. But I'm like, I'm not really sure that these are the right people to be mad at. And then I also said in the comments, if you were to switch this somehow and say it was like America had like a Russian prisoner or something, and the Russians decided to boycott a business from somebody from an American, like in the middle of Russia, and some place in a comparable size to like Omaha, Nebraska, or Lincoln, Nebraska, or just anywhere in Nebraska. I don't think that Joe Biden would. I'm not going to say he wouldn't like care, but I don't think that would be enough to like spur somebody to release a political prisoner. So that was just where I was coming from. I don't think that is.
Yeah. And then, following your logic, I'm happy you explained it. I do agree with you.
Mhm.
That's why I'm not speaking on behalf of the U.S. government, and even my point of choosing Russian businesses. It's reactionary, but that's something that people gravitate to. It's not to get Russia involved. The strategy is to prove that Black people are willing to give consequences to people who harm us.
Mhm.
One of the biggest problems I see within our own community and within the world, we are unable to provide consequences to those who harm us. This has been going on. If you look at our history since our enslavement,
Mhm.
like it only was the times when we reacted in aggression or counter aggression did anything change. So my first thought was kill them, but I can't say that. So my logic is, can I get enough Black people to do one thing that provides some sort of consequences to somebody? It cannot be used as an example to elevate to a bigger platform. It's not necessarily getting Russia to pay attention, but I want people in our local area, I want people in, going up the governmental food chain to understand that we are organizing to begin to provide rewards and consequences to those who help or harm us. Any group, that's how they develop power in this country. Power or to change behavior. Behavior is maintained. Did you know behavior is maintained or controlled through consequences and rewards? That's psychology 101. So yeah, my aim isn't to get Russia to pay attention to what little businesses we're doing here. It's to get Black people to act in a manner of nation or nationhood. I don't consider myself American. I believe it's a curse to this country started with the genocide of the indigenous. Calling yourself American is saying that you are benefiting from the genocide of the indigenous and enslaving of African people. That's a very slippery slope, especially when you look in terms of spirituality and all that. Uh, like hopping out of that rabbit hole. My main focus is seeing, can we organize enough Black people to begin to provide consequences to a group of people. I know these people have nothing to do with it. We have quite a few Russian stores here. There's at least 5 in Lincoln. They call themselves European markets, and now there's a European wax place. There's we have a couple of Italian restaurants. It's crazy. They're called Florio's. They're Russian owned. It's an Italian restaurant, Russian owned, but Mexicans work at the restaurant. So, but Russians, they do have a little economic base here.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I understand they have nothing to do with it. This is like people can grab toward that. This happening in Russia, you're Russia. This gives me something to focus on than the bigger picture.
Right.
That it's not necessarily not just supporting the stores. I studied tactics, civil rights era. Like they did things like load up grocery carts, have people just go in and load up grocery carts, leave the shit in the aisle, didn't buy nothing, sit at that restaurant so people could have a seat, protest in front of the building, but just garnering that attention, showing that we have the ability, even on this minuscule level, to provide consequences for actions done against us. I understand that that is a fear that is in the minds of Europeans since the Haitian Revolution. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, that is what.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my first thought. Kill him. I can't be saying that all the time. I know, but because I realize that mutually assured destruction is a thing. It's
Yeah.
a reason why there's other countries that can sit down at the table with America. And America can't. These little economic sanctions, like, they're not doing much. They have to sit and negotiate. Because no matter what, I got thermonuclear arms. What are you about? Oh, you got thermonuclear arms too. That means either way, somebody's going to get it. And
So I have a question for you. So, you were saying that it's kind of about like showing people that like Black people can,
give consequences.
Yeah, you're right. We give consequences, right? So tying this back to Brittany Griner, like, do you want like basically I'm trying to like connect Brittany Griner to like what you just said.
Okay.
I'm struggling there.
She is again. Everywhere you find, we believe BAF. That's our organization, Black African Family. We're a nonprofit forming out here. We believe that wherever you find Black people in this world is our nation. We're a nation without borders, so we believe in providing, protecting for our people. If any dude could just walk up, pull up our sister, lock her up, for their own proxy political wars. That is an offense to those who call themselves the fathers of this new nation. And, just like America would defend its members of its nations in foreign countries, unless they're Black, but it defends its members of its nations in foreign countries, we believe that we should defend our nation, our members of our nations in foreign countries.
Okay.
Even if they say, well, she's arrested, Russia, Syria, they look at Ukraine, they're literally invading a sovereign nation. That's international law. They have no care for life outside of them or their agenda. They look at how they bomb Syria, should they get in Afghanistan, should they get in Iran. Right. So if they're going to talk about its law and morality, that's BS. Because I look at, well, this is how this nation behaves. And having a little bit of weed is not as bad as killing millions of people. Or
of course,
yeah. So, nah.
I mean, that is something that, I told you I just graduated from law school a couple, like not even a month ago, I don't know what day it is, but I think like a month ago today. A month ago.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you, but thank you.
I'm happy.
So what I was gonna say is like, yes, like I understand, like, I don't agree with her. Like, I'm very much like, I don't think that people should still be being arrested for weed. In America, I could just speaking on America, I don't think that people should be being like arrested, fined, anything for weed, especially because it's legal in some places. A lot of people are profiting off of it. So I think it's sort of, I don't know if disingenuous is the right word. I don't think anybody should be in jail for weed. I think if you were in jail for like weed charges, I think you shouldn't be there. And that might be like, that's kind of radical for some people in the legal community because a lot of people don't think like that. But what I was like, there's a lot of people who still, I'm like, I don't get why it's illegal. That's a different topic for a different day. I could talk to you about weed all day. Yeah. But
I dropped the mic on them. Your law was founded on genocide. Do you really think you're just?
No, of course, yeah. Like I completely understand like the legal system, and even though I am,
you're in it. I know.
Yeah, I'm in a little deep. I get like there's like that's. I am very passionate about criminal law, and I just know that, and the reason I'm not going, people, oh, why won't you be like a defense attorney or whatever? I would never be a prosecutor. That's off the table. I would work. I'd just not practice law before I'd be a prosecutor. But people are like, why won't you be like a defense attorney? And I'm like, I still have to work within that system and the criminal law system, which is why like the work that I'll be doing won't be in the criminal law sphere. It's in like civil, workers' compensation, people get hurt on the job, like stuff like that. That's something I cannot touch because I know that my heart would be too tied up in it. And I'm like, for my own personal well-being, it's like I can't practice criminal law because I would be miserable. I know I would be going home crying, and I would, for my own mental health, I'm not doing it. But anyway, so I was gonna say, like you said that, like I'm trying to characterize this right. You said like that, like it's sort of messed up for them to lock her up on a weed charge, and they're over here treating Ukraine like nothing, like they're just plowing through Ukraine, right? Is that a fair characterization?
To a point, I think it's more or less that's a member of my family. I understand that nations have like diplomats and other things. Like if you get arrested in somebody's nation, and more often than not, they send you back home to your home nation. So it's more or less, this is my sister. There's black men everywhere. It does not sit right that some white dude could just lock her up. Because at the end of the day, if it could happen to any one of us anywhere, it could happen to any one of us everywhere. That's what I believe.
And I mean, I definitely see where you're coming from, and I do agree to some extent. I think it would be a little bit easier for me if for some reason she were just like plucked off the street. Like I said, I don't agree with people getting arrested for weed, but I do understand that like if you do something, like it's sort of there's not. I mean, there is an amount of discretion that like law enforcement has to like arrest you. Like I mean, like people may get stopped with weed or whatever. The law, like the officer may let you go with a warning. Like that sucks. But like there is like I mean, I'm saying it sucks for everybody else, and it sucks for the person who got a warning, but it sucks for other people who did get locked up.
Yeah.
But I'm like, she did do something wrong, and I feel like it would be a little unrealistic for me to just sort of expect them to like turn the other way. I hate that. I mean, as a Black woman, I don't like seeing other Black women like not thriving. Obviously, I want Black women to thrive. Like that is first and foremost on my list. I want Black girls to thrive. And she's not thriving. She's in Russian jail, obviously. But I'm like, she also did, and like that's something that you have to be wary of if like you're going to be in a foreign country, especially if you're going to be over there working and just for more than like a visit, like a vacation. That's something you do need to definitely be aware of. Like there are some countries where like public displays of affection might be illegal, or it may be illegal for like women to like show their hair or something like that. Or, like there's different laws in different countries, and I'm like, excuse me, sorry, I need to sorry, my throat just got mad dry all of a sudden. But anyway, so I think that that's something that like she should have been aware of. It's a mistake that I think people make in the US too, and I don't think they should be locked up for that either. But I think that is something that like, unfortunately, if the law is on the book, it can be enforced. So I think that's something you need to think about. So it's like, yeah, I don't like that she's locked up, but at the same time, I'm like, she's sort of.
Yeah, like I agree with you 100%. But you have to understand my framework. I'm more of a radical. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, when I look at legality, it's literally because what's legal and what's not legal is because you have the power to give rewards and consequences. You have the power to enforce that. Mm-hmm. So I believe it is necessary for Black men to start taking the steps to develop that power, regardless of what she does. Excuse my language, but fuck your law. That's my sister. At the end of the day, if I had the ability, if I had thermonuclear arms, I would definitely threaten war from anybody just fucking with anybody in my family, because that's how I was raised. I was like, nah. Like if my family's messing up, they give me a call and we'll come sort it out. But that's just how I feel. It's more a male chauvinistic. It's pride, it's ego. I get that, but that's how should I put that? That's how I see his power. Like I don't care what your law is. That's my family member to fuck it up. You come to me, we'll handle it. And I believe that by taking the small steps of providing consequences, even to somebody, that's what they like. You know, growing up, if somebody took something from you or stole something from you, you had to bomb on the first person you seen do it, so people know not to fuck with you. Even if they did it or not, you had to beat the hell out of them. The first person who you thought did it, like that. That is
But
the
do you think that's
framework that
right
I work
though?
with.
Like, you think that's
Yes,
rational?
because from there, it's irrational. But the logic behind it is from that, people understand not to take from it. People understand that, wow, so if I do something to this person, I could be harmed. And
Mhm.
that's what I believe the world needs to see. If you do anything to any one of us, regardless of what your rules are, you're going to be harmed. That's why my
So
first thought was kill him. I believe that we should go out, like, I don't know, I'm really radical. I studied the Haitian Revolution, I studied the Mau Mau.
mhm.
Like, I did not agree with Nelson Mandela. I believe they should have gave the whites in South Africa 24 hours to leave. If they didn't leave, they should have killed everything white in sight. But that's my thinking.
Uh-huh.
That, like, and I don't put that on everyone. But I do believe as Black men, women aren't going to always understand it. Some men don't understand it. We should definitely be taking the steps to prove that we are willing to give consequences to anyone and who messes with our family.
But I'm like, okay, so I would love to know sort of like what, so did Russia do wrong by locking up Brittany Griner for having, I think it was a weekend or something. So you think that's the wrong that we're trying to show Russia that they perpetuated?
Mhm.
Or like,
You are not a just country. I don't care what your laws are. You are not just, and I feel offended. Like, regardless if what they did was wrong or right, there's a defense. You hurt my pride. You hurt my ego, because you showed me that as a Black man, I can't do anything to prevent my sister from going to prison. So that hurts my pride. That hurts my ego. So again, I said it's very chauvinistic. It's a pride. It's an ego-driven thing, but that's power. Like nations, as I study nations, they do, like, back in early European days, if you offended a queen or something, kings went to war. It could be some of the slightest offenses, like 48 laws of power. Dude threw a bigger party than what is it, King Louis. He ended up killing that man.
yeah, I
So
remember.
people in power is like, you got to recognize power for what it is. And I believe that us as Black men should be able to develop a power base that if anybody offends us, if we say this is offensive, you should watch your back. That's,
So
yeah, go ahead.
so I was gonna say I don't think that, I mean, I don't think that the law is 100% correct the way it is. There are a lot of things about the law I would change, and that is I could sit here until the sun goes down and tell you everything I think about the law. Like, that sucks, that should change it, that is unfair, and like a lot of that comes from like studying. And there's like days I've been in class and I'm like, how is this, like, why? But anyway, I was gonna say, I think that's kind of a slippery slope. Is like, oh, like, you locked up a Black woman
My
and now
sister,
we're mad at you.
I would have fucked you up until you let her out. That's
So
how
I'm
I
like,
feel.
okay, so say I beat somebody within an inch of their life tomorrow. I go to a bar, get in a fight with some girl, beat her to an inch of her life.
Were they
Do you
white?
think
Were they white? If they were white, they probably deserved it.
uh, let's
That's how I
let's
think.
spice it up. Let's
I
spice it
mean,
up.
that's how
She
I
she
think.
was she was Latina, Asian, maybe even Black. Maybe she's mixed. I don't know.
Okay, Latinos, you probably deserved it. I see how them people treat our people in South America. I definitely take to the when I say Black African family, everywhere our people are, we see ourselves as a nation. We definitely pay attention to how a lot of these so-called brown countries treat our people. Everywhere from Colombia to Brazil, which holds the largest population of Black people in this world. Uh,
Mhm.
Puerto Rico, yeah, we pay attention to that. So
And we're
uh,
everywhere. Like there's Africa.
Asian, I
Like,
got my prejudices against the Chinese, Koreans. So,
yeah.
it
So,
depends.
okay, so I beat a raceless person. They're racist at
I
this
mean,
point.
if they were black, we believe that we need to have the power to regulate ourselves as well. So we're trying to organize our own legal system. that is a defense. Like law number one, you don't harm black people. So that would be a defense. Just how the legal process works when you offend someone here, you know, we will try you, we will prosecute you. If there needs to be a fine, you know, I'm indifferent on prison. I don't really believe America should have prisons, but while they're here, I see that you can build them in ways that are humane and actually help people as long
Yep.
as you put them. So
I'm with prison reform 100%. Like that, like I said, I could sit down and talk about this prison, death penalty. I can give a TED talk at this point. But so okay, well, let me change. I shouldn't have used the crime, so I should kind of make it more analogous to like what Brittany Griner did, because what she did is a victimless crime. Like it's not like she didn't punch somebody in the face. She didn't hurt anyone. Like there was no like she didn't steal from anybody. It was a victimless crime. So it's like, so she had a weed pen or whatever. So say I was in, I don't know. I'm trying to think like what is a good. I wouldn't say drunk driving is a victimless crime, but say I was drunk driving. I got pulled over for swerving or whatever. I didn't hurt anybody, but I got pulled over because I was blasted behind the wheel, right? So you think that I should like they shouldn't book me into the Douglas County Correction.
No, I don't believe America is just to give justice or to say what's right or wrong. As long as I see you committed some of the worst atrocities, have a record of committed some of the worst atrocities, still international criminals, there's nothing you can tell me that's right or wrong. You just have men with guns that would shoot me if I don't listen to you. So I'm working to get to a point where we have men with guns that will shoot you in defense of ourselves. That's how I think. Though. I'm radical. I'm radical. I'm radical minded. Like at the end of the day, I don't believe this country is just. Like it does not. It does not have the track record to say that what we say is right or wrong.
Oh, of course. Like there is some stuff that's what was legal, like not that long ago, that was not right at all. So legality and morality, they are not. They are not married. They are.
So it's not a legal issue. Even with Brittany Griner, it's not a legal issue. It's an issue of power. And I believe that as Black men, we should be aspiring to reach a point of power where if anybody does anything to offend us, we can respond, whether it be through economic sanctions or here, a couple missiles your way. But that's how I think.
Yeah, I respect that. It's like, I guess.
It's different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what I was about to say. It's just different, and then it also doesn't help that like the law is basically my life at this point, because I'm studying for like the bar exam right now, so it's like I have to like learn all this stuff. So like, but I don't know. It's like I definitely believe that. Obviously, I think Black people have been. I think wronged isn't even like a strong enough word.
No, I don't think there's a word in the English language that can start.
Like, yeah, I can't formulate something. I think Black people and Indigenous people have been like very like.
It's Swahili. In Swahili, we call it Mayafa Mayangamizo. Mayafa means death or disaster, but it doesn't register strong enough. So when you say Mayangamizo, it's saying that somebody willfully, predeterminedly, with forethought, and their nature was involved in the destruction of another race of people. So, yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah.
Mayafa Mayangamizo.
Genocide. Yeah.
Ugh.
I get it, but I'm at the same time, I'm like, I can't sit here and say genuinely that I don't think she should have been. I mean, I think if this is a weed question, no, I don't think she should be like have been punished for having a weed pen. If that's just the question, is like, should she have been punished for having weed? No. And that's exactly why I'm not going into criminal law. But as a grand scheme of things, is like if you do wrong, do I think that there should be some type of like, recourse for it? Sure.
I agree. But I believe we're the only ones who are qualified to give any type of recourse to our people. Anyone else, send them to us and we'll take care of it.
So I have a question. So do you think white people should police white people? Like Latinos should police Latinos, Asians?
I stay out of their business. I say that we should regulate and organize amongst ourselves. Let them do what they do. I stay out of their business. They're going to do whatever they want. Yeah. And like I believe that we should organize amongst ourselves to see what power base we can build for ourselves.
So to me, that also brings up another question that's been pertinent to me for a while. Like, how do you define who should fall under that jurisdiction? Say there's a national black like enforcement something like the U.S. like black people policing black people, right? Who is black? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like how do you define that? Do you define somebody who their grandma's black? Is that black, or is it like
Yeah,
your
that
daddy's
is.
black?
That
Or
is. That is. But like we define black like technically, how should I put this? It's it's an entire social theory. It's an entire way of thought. It's an entire way of looking at life. Not just phenotypically or looking black, or because in the grand scheme of things, we're all black. You know what Homo sapiens sapien is? It's modern human. Look at how long modern humans have been here, where they came from, and the characteristics. I mean, we all evolved from Homo sapiens.
Mhm.
Like, I always point white people to basic anthropology. I was like, so you could admit you're black or not, but what makes us all black is having one black ancestor. So it's not necessarily phenotype or how you look. It is your worldview. How do you relate to other black people? How do you relate to this world? And how do you relate to yourself in the universe? That is something that it's up to the people to organize and create that world. Because right now, a lot of us don't even consider ourselves black, which is crazy. But after you have that worldview, it takes power, or yeah, it takes power to enforce it. So after we decide what black is, then we have to go out and enforce it, provide rewards and consequences. This is how we reward you for being black. Like, look what American is. You're American, you're a citizen, you follow these rules. This is how we reward you. You got good credit, you can make sure you have access to capital to get housing. So these are the same systems we need to copy and paste for ourselves. They begin to reward those who follow the code and then punish those who don't. And punishment could be something as simple as exclusion, fines, penalties, whatever you have it. But we that every nation behaves like that. If you go back to my statement, I believe that we all black people are in a nation, not limited to borders. Just wherever you find our people.
Mhm.
So the
And
earliest, go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's true. I was agreeing with you.
The earliest times, that's how we operate. Like no matter where we were in the world, we all followed the same set of guidelines and principles. Like yeah, there's no African. The continent in general had like a universal constitution.
I didn't know
Like,
that.
yeah, yeah. It was like no matter. It was Chancellor Williams, brother Dr. Chancellor Williams. He has a book called The Destruction of African Civilization. His research, he traveled literally the length and breadth of the continent, gathered as much information as he could. It was like a 16-year project. He said it would have been a lot sooner if he had not engaged on this, just limited resources. But yeah, we had a universal constitution where we all were like number one, every decision that was made was an unanimous decision by the community. We all had rights to housing. We all had rights to employment. We all had rights to justice. We all had, even if you were brought in as an indentured servant, because African slavery and then the European American slavery is a lot different. You were still afforded the rights as a human. They didn't take your ability to speak your language. They didn't take away your religion. And you had every opportunity to elevate at the height of that society. To even sit at the seat in the Congo region, they called it the Umbungi, or to be the chief or the leader.
So you said Ubuntu?
Umbungi. So the
Ubuntu.
Congo region, their traditional political system, and I'll send this to you if you provide me your email. So yeah, like it's really cool when you start looking at the different traditional political institutions throughout the African continent. They're saying they're all damn near the same. It's like different words for the
Yeah.
same thing. But the biggest thing that I seen that everything was a community decision. So the community decided this is our way of life, and the community decided how they're going to enforce it. And if you follow the rules, everybody lives well. If you didn't follow the rules, you can go somewhere else
Mhm.
and build your own community.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I like your like position like the community aspect. I think that that's something that I wish as Black people we'd have a little bit more of. Um, like I know it's not right to like compare us to other ethnicities or other races or whatever because like not everybody had the same struggle like we did. Like
Although,
it's
tell me
it's not the
who
same
came
story.
off the plantations of sound mind? Who came out of
Right,
colonialism in sound mind? Well,
right,
yeah, we got a lot of issues we need to work through.
right. So
But
that's why I'm like I see like different ethnicities and stuff like they have like for me it's like financial unity. That's one thing that I'm sort of like I wouldn't say envious, but I kind of like look at like other communities. And I'm like, wow, like I really wish if we would have had this for Black people, or if Black people were on game like this.
we have it. We have it. We have financial unity, just
No, but
not
I'm
in our
talking
own
about
group.
the
Just
way
not in
it's
our
being.
group. We have it. You call yourself American, right? You
I
pay
mean, I don't.
taxes. You pay
Yeah, I pay
taxes. That's financial unity. Where do you bank at?
Wells Fargo.
So that's financial unity. So
No, I'm
we,
talking about for Black people. Just like okay,
but
so let me explain what I mean. Sorry, I should just tell you what I mean. Maybe financial unity wasn't the right word to
no.
say it,
I know what you
but
mean. I'll let you explain, but I do know what you mean.
I
It's
know
just
like oh, go ahead.
we tie our unity in with other groups instead of just amongst ourselves, and
No, I
that
mean like peer to like sort of like small scale.
yeah
Okay, so
okay.
basically, I guess
Go
it
ahead. Go
helps if
ahead.
I gave an example, right?
Go ahead.
So basically, like I have heard of people coming from like the Middle East or like East Asia, and they come over and like they want to start businesses, but like there's people already here who have businesses who are like helping them like have like the capital for it, or they're like and I'm like, we're not. I don't. I mean, like there actually there's been a lot of I'd say improvement probably in the last like 10 years. I've seen a lot of I don't know if it's because I've gotten older and I've been like tuning into this stuff more because if I was 14 I didn't know much about this stuff, but I've seen a lot more support by Black people for like upcoming Black businesses. There's actually a 17-year-old boy. He opened up a rolled ice cream shop over on Ames, and
Oh
he's like the
yeah,
youngest business
I
owner in
just say that.
Nebraska.
I just
Yeah,
say
it opened
that.
up yesterday. I was like, I gotta go. I have to wait till the line dies down a little bit, but I'm gonna go. But yeah, so like there's certain things that I see people do, and I'm like, or like other cultures, they don't kick their kids out of the house at like 17, 18. And I think that that's big in building generational wealth because I've seen a lot of I don't think it's a problem specific to the Black community, but I see it a
A
lot within the
lot.
Black community
Yeah.
is like, oh well, you 18, you're grown, like goodbye. And I'm like, you don't have a job, like these people, they're barely out of high school. But I'm like, other people, you live with your parents until you're married, or you live with your parents until you have gotten your degree. You live with your parents until you've gotten like, financially stable. I'm like, those people are the ones being set up for generational wealth. Because I'm like, yeah, if you kicked out at 18 and you're working a 725, like, like minimum wage job or whatever, like you're going to struggle or your credit might go bad because you have to pay your car now, you got to pay your rent, like stuff like that. And you don't have enough education to like get a better paying job. Like, and then you have to struggle unnecessarily. Whereas if you would have stayed home, you could have banked that money that you were spending on rent or on like utilities and stuff like that, or your food and everything. And you would have had more. But instead you're starting people off like struggling. So that's what I mean by like, I shouldn't have said financial unity, but I feel like some of that is part of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Um, I've realized a lot of those groups are ethnocentric. And Black
They have no
people,
what?
they're ethnocentric.
Yeah.
They think for their own group.
Mhm.
Again, not a lot
Yep.
of us like to identify as Black. And we're often told that being for Black is a bad thing.
Mhm.
That's something that I've ran into a lot here. They're like, "Oh, that's reverse racism." I was like, "How?" Like I was a couple years ago, we were pushing to have a Black-owned credit union out here, and one of the biggest pushbacks I got from the Black community here in Omaha is that it would be racist. You know, I guess I didn't really take. If you go through my page, I'm still pushing for it. Like the group I was with, I seen that in Texas and in other areas they pulled off. They have their charters, but Nebraska we weren't able to get a charter. I realized like I got the
A lot of it
information.
is because we're in Nebraska too. So
Yeah, but it blew my mind. But I could have done more of my due diligence because there's parts that I did overlook, like say you have a white spouse, they can technically join the credit union, or they could, because credit union, because the only way you can pull it off, it has to be a common bond. So each credit union is set up for having like a common bond between people. Either like we all went to the same school, alumni, we all lived in the same neighborhood, we all went to the Navy. So
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 I heard you mention the white spouse thing.
Huh?
I heard you mention like you overlooking like the white spouse part is. Okay. I'm gonna put. I have never been in a relationship with a white person.
Good for you. I have. It was terrible.
But I'm saying like I'm an advocate for integration because I have been with one Asian person. Well, like I've been with black, like I've had black, partners, everything like that. Obviously, I think that's kind of a big given. But I have dated.
It's not a given no more. I'm not gonna say it's a given.
That's true. That's true. I shouldn't assume.
I've been in Nebraska way too.
No. That's. Yeah. I gotta know. I gotta know my location. But I've dated and been close with like a lot of like Latino people before, like because of like where I grew up with. I mean, like where I grew up, I'm from South Omaha. So I know a lot of people don't like that, especially people. I get it. Like I feel like whenever I'm in pro-black spaces, people find out that like my partner like wasn't black, and immediately it's just discredit. She like nothing she has to say is right.
Yeah, I see it, but you gotta know your history. Look at Kwame Nkrumah. You know who Kwame Nkrumah was?
That name sounds so familiar.
The first prime minister of Ghana, one of the first African nations to free themselves from colonialism. His wife was a white Arab. And that man was everything that was pro-black. His country even kicked him out as a leader because he felt that we cannot be Ghana-centric, we have to be Afro-centric. Ghana's independence means nothing if all of our brothers are still enslaved in other colonialism. So that I've had some of this reason why I love stop messing with white girls. I had a dude tell me, no black person will take you seriously on the pro-black tip if you date a white woman. And I was like, really? But they said the same thing to Dr. King. You should look into that. Dr. King had a white girl he was dating. They told him he had to leave her. And I was like, what? No wonder why he wanted to hold hands. He wanted to hold. Ooh, that boy was fighting for his white girl.
I know.
He was. Dr. King was.
It's like, for me, I don't know if it's like a different argument because I haven't. I've only ever been with people of color. Like I have never been with like a white person before. I don't know if it's like if people are holding dating white in the same regard as dating somebody who is Latino or like indigenous or Asian. I don't know how people feel about that. So sometimes people are like, oh, well, like, it's different. Some people are like, no, like that's the exact same thing. And I don't think it's the same thing. I don't think it has the same like societal implications. Like I'm not against people dating white people. I'm not particularly against doing it myself. Like just the opportunity
triggers me sometimes. It triggers me sometimes. Like the people I have prejudices against, like Chinese, it would trigger me. Some Koreans, it would trigger me. South Africans would trigger me. The Dutch, French, it would trigger me. I mean, they're white, but there's some. But it's because I understand the history.
Right.
But the grand scheme of things, what makes us all human is having a black ancestor.
Right.
And throughout time we've always mixed. So it's like
yeah. I'm like, in America, I'm like, the likelihood that your ethnicity is 100% African is very, 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 very slim.
It's like black women, they have protection like that.
Exactly.
There's a lot of people say that. I was like, I don't know.
But, I'm like, slavery wasn't that long ago. I'm like, whether or not like the mixing was forced, I'm like, black people in America, I'm like, there's like at least an 80% chance that you were not 100% African. Like sub-Saharan, like.
But
Yeah.
we've always mixed. We've always mixed.
Mhm.
That's something
So,
that I noticed about humans. We don't like to fit in just these little small boxes. The DNA doesn't know borders. I always try to remind people that like borders are artificial. Like the humans have always traveled this world.
right.
Like I always look at it as what makes us all human is black. And for others who could look at the research or look at the accepted theories of the time and say, I understand this.
Mhm.
All right, you know, cool. Don't hurt black people. I can vibe with you.
Yeah, like I think that's definitely common ground. I'm like, I want to see my people prosper, and if you're with that, great. If you're against it, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You won't get no judgments from me. You can bring your Asian boyfriend around, bring him to the barbecue. We'll laugh at him. We'll joke with him. I hope he can take it. We'll joke with him.
That's to be
Chinese, they trigger me. Let's see how they treat our people on the continent. So the Chinese, they trigger me.
yeah. I did have a Chinese partner. Yeah, at one point I did. So yeah, I mean, he was he was actually really pro black. I say was he actually ended up passing away not too long ago. But yeah, he was a great person, very very pro black, very like I know that may not be the norm for like I know that there has been sort of like shaky relations with like Chinese people and black people, Korean people and black people.
Korean, I can kind of understand though. Like black people, we fought for our enemy. It was a lot of us who went over to the Koreas to kill them.
Yeah.
I like. I tried to ask my mom. Was like, was my granddad drafted or did he join? If he's drafted, I can't be mad.
Right.
But even some of the Vietnamese that I befriended here, like one of them, family got cool with. We had this little kid Christian. He's grown now. I think he's like 18. I first met him. He's like, "There's a me danger in the house. There's a me danger in the house." But going and like getting to know their family, me danger is their word. But it's like black people were on the front lines in those wars, and so they
Yep.
associated black people with that negative terror. And I was like, oh.
Like the context makes sense. I'm a military kid myself, so it's like I have a very mixed view of that because like
Did you ever see the movie The Spook Who Sat by the Door?
no.
Read the book by Sam Greenlee. There's a little brother who goes to the CIA to give back game to regular brothers in the street. The game he gave us started the Revolutionary War. He taught us how to fight. Like, you familiar with guerrilla warfare?
Yeah.
I don't like to talk about that much. I don't know. Sometimes I do. I don't like putting a target on my back, but I believe everybody should study guerrilla warfare. I see it's like practical. It's ways that small armies have defeated large nations.
I also have sort of I wouldn't call them mixed feelings, but I have like I guess like special feelings for people who especially Black people, minorities, poor people who end up in the military. A lot of times it's not like, oh, I want to go like promote.
I'm poor and I need something.
Yes, that's where my dad was living in the projects in the middle of Texas. There was no other option. So I'm like he made it very clear. He's like, I didn't go because I wanted to hurt people or because like that was he was like 17 when he enlisted. And you see a poor 17-year-old and they tell you you can go to school, we will get you out the hood, you can see the world and stuff. Like if I was 17 and I was living the project, oh my God, yeah. I'd be like, okay, yeah, like what I gotta do? Like where do I sign? So that's something that's the US.
The spoils of empire.
Yes, they voice that on young kids. They come to high school. Like I remember, like they come to high schools. I think I read somewhere, and don't quote me on if this is true or not. That they like the U.S. military doesn't recruit at like richer high school, like in Omaha. Like they wouldn't be like at Millard or whatever. But I went to Omaha North, and they were definitely National Guard, Army, everybody. They were in there all the time, engaging with kids and everything. And like, I mean, coming from a military family, my dad made it very clear. He's like, if I had my choice, she wouldn't go to the military, and I respected that. I
Yeah.
thought about it for a little bit, but I respected it.
I had uncles tell me the same thing. They're like, there ain't no place for a black man. But they were in the military back like in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, you.
They're
Yep.
like, nah.
That's especially for like a woman. My dad's like,
Nah.
like that's something you need to think twice about, because, but one being black, two being a woman, military, nope. Yeah, so I think that that's definitely the U.S. trying to, or like just I guess the military in general. The military I've gotten great education benefits and everything, and for that I'll be grateful for. Like they helped get me through school. I thank them for that. But I think
spoils of empire.
Yes. It's like damn. Like I'm like oh like.
But now that we know is what do you do with it? That's how I look at it.
Yes.
I look at even communicating you with through this device to you is because of exploitation of Africans and African resources. The main mineral is coltan. That's what powers all our electronics. Most of the world's coltan comes out of the Congo. So it's like, but now that we know is what we do with it going forward. And I like, right now I found that I just got to make a lot of money.
A lot of what?
I just got to make a lot of money because the people that I need to influence have a lot of money, and they're not listening to broke dudes.
Unfortunate. That's unfortunate, but you have a point. Like that money talks. Money yells. Money is singing.
Even when I look at like money, but I like I jump deep into things. Like you look at American currency. Did you know every single one of those men raped and owned enslaved Africans? But that
which there's I think there's a lot to be said about that. I think that sort of is symbolic of something. I don't know what it is, but it's symbolic somewhere.
That's our enslavement, because a lot of us we put a lot of value behind that dollar. If Bitcoin showed us we ain't got to.
Yeah, you can just make new money. Like that's what I learned over the last like 5-6 years. You can just make new money.
Oh yeah.
Somebody make a new dollar every day.
I usually have my cowrie shells. You know what cowrie shells are?
Yeah, like the little like seashell type.
Did you know at one point? Yeah, did you know at one point that's what we used as money? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like telling that story.
Like currency, it's all made up, which is crazy to me.
Like people put value on it.
It's like some dude just made it.
But unfortunately, we put a lot of value on what white people have. It's like, oh, this is yours. Yeah, that's. It's like, but it's everywhere. Everywhere the world values the dollar. Like I could go to Africa right now and be married, living on less than $2,000 a month, and be able to take care of 2 wives.
This is crazy.
Yeah. I thought about it. I ain't gonna lie. It's like in Tanzania, it's in East Africa. $800 a month is a really nice luxury ass apartment. Like it's like a compound. Just nice condos.
Barely getting you like here. You $800. You lucky if you find a nice place.
I pay $1,650 for 1 bedroom.
Mm-hmm. That's it exactly.
And I'm landlocked. And I was like, man, like I got a brother out there. Look, I try to connect with Africans everywhere just to speak. Yeah, he's like, all I have to do is get an apartment out there, and I could put just half my pick here. You can stay here while I'm not here. You could be but it's crazy. Damn. And he was like, yeah, man, like these girls are trying to convince me to get the apartment in their name. And I was like, damn.
You sound tempting. Look, if I could practice law over there, I would think about it.
Just knowing that. And it was like that. So spoils the empire. But now we have it. What do we do with it?
Yeah, I think the big question, that's kind of the hard part now. Like, the easy part is talking about, like what happened and like what's happening, but now it's like the future that's kind of like
keep doing what you're doing. That's all I can say. Stick to business law. You do that, you have a great future ahead of you.
I'm trying. Thank you. So I don't know if I said it already, but I really like what you're doing with the Black community. Like that's something that I love to see. That is something that I always appreciate. seeing people help the Black community, because I think that a lot of time we do get overlooked. People think that they're helping us and they're not. So,
Yeah, it's like yeah, it's work.
but yeah, I definitely appreciate that.
Thank you. I feel like I'm not doing enough. There's more that I can do. That like recently, yeah, I've been told you can't volunteer so much. I patrol. I don't even like I patrol out here like weekend nights. I see a lot of Black people get drunk. They're out. Sometimes we fight each other. I'm usually there to break up fights.
That's good. Like that's doing a lot. Like honestly, like that's because one, you're preventing injuries for one. Like just off the bat, you're preventing injuries,
I'd rather
death,
you deal with me than a cop.
incarceration, huh?
Yeah, but I'd rather you deal with me than a cop.
Yep.
And then if
No,
you happen to get arrested, I actually take the time to get the case number so I can check in on you, see what's going on.
That is extremely admirable, and that's something that's needed. That's really needed.
Can't do it no more. I've been told just focus on my money. That's what my brother told me. He's like, bro, you just like, no matter what we do, volunteering our time, it's not going to push the needle forward.
I mean, it is hard. Yeah, I would agree that that's something that I struggled with too, because I'm like, okay, I've been told like, you go into like business law, that pays, but like the stuff that like services people, that doesn't really like criminal law doesn't really pay, like criminal defense attorneys, that doesn't really pay, immigration law, that doesn't really pay, and like you see like if you help the big guy, you get paid, but like so it's like it's hard because like, yeah, it's like of course everybody wants to live a nice lifestyle, and I've went through God knows how much school, and it'd be nice like reap some benefits from that, be able like to live the lifestyle that I want comfortably, but then I also like
what is your ideal lifestyle?
I wouldn't say, I don't want to be like filthy rich, like I don't want like
what is your ideal lifestyle? Give me a number. What is something that would set you up? How do you want to live? What is that number you'd like to see every year?
Like at the pinnacle of my career, I would say I would be content if I made $200,000 by like the time I'm like 10 years in my career. Like that's
like plan on living.
Hopefully not here.
You plan on living because $200,000 in some places ain't shit. It's like $40,000-$50,000 here.
Yes. So
what do you plan on living?
Actually, I lied. I may have to up that number now that you asking where I'm gonna live.
Yeah.
I want to go to the New York, New Jersey area. I'm gonna need a little more, so maybe like maybe like 400,000.
Okay.
But I know. I mean, bump that up a little bit. So maybe like 400. Yeah. I think that's more than comfortable. But it's like I also don't want to be like rich to the point where it's like I don't ever want to be like when people say like eat the rich. I don't want that to be me. So I want this salary cap to be under that. Yeah. I don't want to be eat the rich, but I also like I want my kids and grandkids. I want to be able to have like money and trust for them. So like
do you have
when I die, like they can have something.
Do you have kids or grandkids?
No.
Oh, you need eventual kids, grandkids.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah, no. I'm kid free right now.
Okay.
So, yeah, okay. But eventually, I want to be able to like leave something for like the future generations. Like I think that I think my grandparents' generation or maybe their parents were like the first generation of our family to where they could like leave something for us, and that was a really big deal because certain groups have hundreds of years of head starts, and they have had stuff in their families for hundreds of years, and we haven't had that opportunity. Okay. So,
they say more than 80% of wealth in this country is passed down.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, people are like, oh, why are people poor? I'm like, well, 50 years ago, I couldn't even go to school. What do you want me to pass down? Right? I couldn't even, get a better paying job or whatever. There was certain jobs I couldn't even have. So how do you expect me to have a house to pass down to somebody if I couldn't even have a job to make the money to like? So people always, oh, why are black people are lazy, or that's why they're poor. No, I'm like that. I don't know.
We were designed to be the underclass. It's the way capitalism works.
Yes. So that's a conversation I could have for years about how other people had a head start, and we're literally starting from behind, which sucks.
Way behind the 8 ball. Behind the 8 ball. I said, yeah, we're way behind the 8 ball, but I like it that way. I like it that way. We get history. Like we had like conservative tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. God. Of the last 2,000 years in general, the last 400 years in specific have sucked. But shit, like just look back. I tell people, just look at our history. We've had a long stretch of time just living like God.
Yeah. So then it got taken away.
I mean, some say that, yeah, it was taken away. I study it to some of the African scholars, the ones that study our ancient civilizations. And one thing I came across, the brother said that we understood for us to elevate to our next phase of life, like we had to destroy to build. Like we became content. Like we reached the pinnacle that life had to offer on this planet. We realized that if conditions stayed the same, that we had clean air, soil, and water, we lived that way time immemorial. We would live that way for eternity. One thing I notice about humans in general, we like to elevate ourselves, grow. Everything grow. So I think we had to go through this drastic, terrible freaking change the last 2,000 years in general, the last 400 years in specific, for us to grow to the next stage of civilization, which is, it could be some interplanetary stuff. Just studying our history, some of like the Dogon. You familiar with the Dogon Society?
Yeah. So the No God Society?
The Dogon?
Dogon. Dogon or No God? Sorry.
Dogon, Dogon, the Dogon.
Oh, no.
Ha 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 ha. These are like very, very deep brothers in the sciences, sisters and brothers in the sciences of the world. Like before Europeans had these high-powered telescopes to see what they call Sirius B star and other constellations. We already knew it was there. We tracked its rotation and its alignment with our sun, our planet, and that star. They call it the Sirius B star. Carl Sagan brought it up with the Dogon. They're really known for having a high degree of astronomy and understanding and mapping out the planetary systems, having the knowledge of the mathematics, physics, and all that. You know, if you look at these people, they look like a backwards ass society in fucking Central Africa. And you're like, how the hell?
Smart. You know what? Yeah, they are years beyond us. Yeah.
They said the Dogon, if you follow their history, they were scientists in Kemet, which is ancient Egypt. And as the conquest went on, they just traveled further out, developed their societies there, the knowledge stayed. So yeah, the Dogon, I tell everybody, you should look them up. There's a lot of information out there.
I got a lot of stuff for when I have the rest of my study break tonight.
Oh, yeah.
I got more studying to do, but it's not for the bar.
Oh yeah, they say that we come from a planet called Sirius B star.
Like, call him.
And even if you look at the Egyptian calendar, do you know which year it is based on the Egyptian calendar?
Isn't it? It's like it's either really far back or really far. I just had somebody tell me
what I got was
year 62, 62.
Yeah, I knew it was either like really far back or it was really far ahead. I was like, I knew it wasn't. It's not close.
Yeah. So the start of the calendar is actually the alignment of the Sirius B star, our sun, and our planet. Mm-hmm. That's where they started. So it's like it's deep. So you know, we probably did. Nobody can prove it. I tend to believe that everything we went through is to get us to the next stage of evolution. You know, we probably would be dealing with some other type of humanoid creatures who are a lot worse than the people we got to deal with here. Or even our views on spirituality, maybe they needed to change. Who knows?
That's something interesting. I have a lot more to learn. I feel like there's always more to learn, but I feel like I have to get into this.
Oh, I got a lot more to learn about law, so hopefully you stick around in case we support.
Yeah, nice little exchange. Okay.
Yeah. Peru. You familiar with the story of Peru?
Story of Peru?
Peru, H-E-R-U.
H-E-R-U.
argue. Haru.
Mm-mm.
So Haru is the son of Asar. What the Greeks call it Isis, Osiris, and Horus.
Yeah.
All right. So in that mythology, Set, or the evil brother, kills Asar. He's somehow, his wife Aset resurrects him, mummifies his body, and she gets impregnated. They have a baby called Haru. Haru defeats the evil brother Set, but he does it through the court of law.
Mhm.
And I apply that story to us. Men, black men here, we were, killed by a brother. Again, we're all related.
It's true.
But through our resurrection, we'll have many battles which we won, and we'll have many battles which we'll lose.
Mhm.
But ultimately, I believe the goal should be to beat them in the court of law, not focus on international law.
Right. Okay.
That's powerful.
That is powerful. That's profound.
All these other brown and yellow nations, everybody else is waking up. So it's like y'all just don't got the power. It's all a lot of people that look more like us that have the power. So we should be able to take the international court for your crimes against humanity.
As we've talked more, I kind of understand like your viewpoint, because at first I was sort of like I didn't have any context
Like,
for
this
it.
nigga's crazy. What are you talking about?
But now it's like even though there's things that I disagree on, like I at least have more like context so I can rationalize it. Like it's not about me agreeing. Like it doesn't matter what I think, but like I'm able to like. There's like a meeting of like the minds here. Like it's like I get it. Like I get it. Like I may not agree on everything, but I understand. So I'm tracking you. So yeah, I'm tracking you. I get it.
If I had the power, I'd do something about it. I can't just act. I would, but I believe that there should also be a council of people. I don't believe no leader or anybody should just be able to act. It has to be the will of the people. So whatever the entire community says, that's what they get done. That's what is done. But me personally, I'm reactionary. It's like, you hurt me, I will hurt you. So I know it works. I know it works. Don't believe me? Have you ever had a bully before?
Yes.
Have you ever stood up to your bully?
Yeah, but I'm a verbal person. I guess that's why I went to law school. Like I'll tell you about yourself, but it's like I'm not.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'll tell them about themselves, but like verbally, like physically.
Every woman that said that to me has damaged my ego to something sad.
I don't like unless people deserve it. You really gotta have done something to me. Like you have to have like deserved it for me to like verbally just like cut somebody like down. But that's it.
Keep that in mind. So you're in Omaha. I'm gonna take this off the board, by the way.
What'd you say?
So you're in Omaha.